What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Teed Up. I'm your host, Pierre, Pee Wee the Plug, and Dreesen. We have a lot of basketball to unpack. I've been missing y'all for the past week. I hope y'all have missed me. I enjoy being here in front of y'all. We got a lot to talk about. We got buying and selling for Eastern Conference and Western Conference teams. We have an incredible guest, small forward guard, sniper out of Washington, Corey Kispert. And then we got a little college basketball to talk with me and producer Christian. I know y'all are here for that. Starting things off, buying or selling around the Eastern Conference. We got a couple of teams we want to discuss, and I'm going to tell y'all exactly who I'm buying and selling on. The first team that we have is the Philadelphia 76ers. I believe they're 5-1 to start the season. They have been incredible considering their circumstances. I do still want to see Paul George with his group. Y'all know how I feel about Paul George. Big time fan, but I have not enjoyed the start of his Sixers tenure, especially with the money that they paid. But throughout the first 6 games, VJ Edgecombe has been incredible. I've loved his performance and his play as a rookie. Looks like a match made in heaven in the backcourt for Tyrese Maxey. And then Tyrese Maxey, I keep telling everybody, the scoring outburst was something that we kind of felt was on the horizon here. Will it be sustainable? That's part of the route that I'm going here. As good as they started the season, as good as they're shooting the basketball, and as much as I'm rooting for them, I am going to sell on the Sixers. And a couple of reasons why is, number one, it's hard for me to buy into the shooting, if I'm just being completely honest. They have 4 guys shooting over 6 threes a game at a 40% or better clip. And I believe that's Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Quentin Grimes, and Kelly Oubre. If I was to take a guess, some of that is going to take a dial back as the weeks go on. You know what I mean? I'm just preparing and kind of predicting that that's going to be the case. And if they're not going to shoot the basketball at the level that they're shooting, it's going to be tougher for them to win these games, especially depending on the status of Paul George and Joel Embiid, which has been the same storyline since last season, if we're being completely honest. I do love some of the things that are going for them, though, and I think they're in a bit of a win-win because of the young talent like Edgecombe. Jared McCain should be on his way back. I love some of the things I've seen from Bona and Justin Edwards. Like, they got some things going on here. But as far as buying at this level, I think it only makes sense to sell right now. Like, I figure some teams are going to figure some things out. It looks like the Magic are slowly but surely getting their groove back. Giannis and the Bucks look like they're locked in. The Cavs and the Knicks should be picking it up real soon. And because of that, I think that heavily impacts the Philadelphia 76ers. Also, Tyrese Maxey is leading the lead in minutes right now with about 42 and a half, almost 43 minutes a game. It feels like a burnout is on the horizon. You know what I mean? Don't know if that's sustainable. Even the way that he's played, though I think he can be a 30-point scorer in this league, is it going to be 37 points per game? I just don't know. So because of that, again, we're going to sell. We're going to sell. Opponents right now are shooting almost 60% on 2-point shots. That doesn't sound like something that is going to be a recipe for success as well. Shifting gears a little bit, a team that I talked about when discussing the Philadelphia 76ers, the Orlando Magic. They have been interesting. I feel like not just myself, but a lot of people around the NBA have hyped up their offseason. We thought they were going to come out of the gate and just be this fiery Eastern Conference team that could potentially battle for home court advantage or one of those top 3 spots out east. And that's just not the result that we've gotten. Now, over the last 2 games, they figured some things out. A lot of their critics will say it's against teams that they should beat and, not necessarily the toughest opponents, the Wizards and the Charlotte Hornets. But I still think there's value in it. I think it's value in a team that added a guy like Desmond Bane, made a few smaller adjustments, still trying to get the gelling period. I think there's value in getting those wins and, getting your rhythm, getting your identity back, and really allowing the confidence to echo through the locker room. When you have such a slow start like them, I believe they started 1-4, and you get the rumors starting, can Franz and Paolo play together? Is Jamal Mosley on the hot seat that they spend too much to get Desmond Bane? All of that can kill the vibes, kill the confidence. And so just like a real basketball game, seeing a ball go through the hoop, getting a couple free throws can get you in a rhythm and just, change your psyche a little bit. I think some of these easier wins against some of these weaker opponents could snowball into them really getting back into who they are and being that team that we projected them to be. A couple of things that make me feel a little bit optimistic is they can't play any worse than they did when they started the season. That's number one. Number two, Desmond Bane at some point is going to get on track. He's going to start to, look like the Desmond Bane that they went out and acquired. And also, I feel like the backbone of this team is the defensive side of the basketball. And at some point, they have to get reminded of that. But a couple of things that also is preventing me from being an overall buyer is the three-point shooting is still not there. And a lot of teams understand that. They're running Desmond Bane off of the three-point line, and they're forcing him to be a driver or a creator for some of the other guys. And if you're the Magic, you want the reverse. You want Paolo or Franz to create shooting and catch and shoot opportunities for Desmond Bane, or just somewhat of easier looks versus Desmond Bane creating looks for Anthony Blacks of the world and things like that. So I still think that that's going to be a problem. And I don't think one guy can really come in and change the overall three-point shooting perspective for a team. And they were already behind the eight ball with putting that much responsibility on one guy. And yeah, I don't know. There's something that's still missing. And because of that, I'm going to hold. There are things that I've seen with the Magic that give me the confidence. It's also the fact that they're in a vulnerable Eastern Conference with the Pacers having a down year, the Celtics not looking like the typical Celtics, and the 76ers still being in a state of flux, not knowing fully the Paul George and Joel Embiid situation. But then on the other side, what the expectation was and how some of the other teams like the Bucks, the Cavs, the Pistons still look strong. I think that's enough to hinder the Magic from getting to where they want to get to. This is a team that's trying to make a run in the playoffs. This is a team that at the end of the day, outside of the regular season success, they're going to face teams that are going to have easier game plans for them if they can't figure out the perimeter shooting. Now, again, for every lack that I say, there's something that they benefit from. They get to the free throw line a bunch. But right now, I think it's best to hold the stock and wait another few weeks to really get a full overall view. Is Desmond Bane going to get back on track? Is this just a tough start for them defensively, or has their identity shifted and they've slacked a bunch on defense because they're so worried about the offense? We'll get that information in the next couple of weeks. So right now with the Orlando Magic, we're going to hold this stock and not overreact or not get too happy with some of the minimal success that we've seen over the last two games. The Chicago Bulls, hometown team, they've had an incredible start to the season. They were before their loss to my New York Knicks, one of the last undefeated teams. I got to sell the Bulls for various reasons. Number one, the way that opponents were shooting from three against them was obviously just unsustainable. And I think the Knicks showed that in the most recent game where they were able to come out and really shoot the ball at a really good level. And they won that game pretty easily. The other part with the Bulls is, the star power. If we're just being completely honest, on any given night, when you're matching the Chicago Bulls and their top players versus their opponent's top players, they're lacking significantly. And I know Josh Giddey right now is playing at an all-star level, arguably an all-NBA level, but how sustainable is this? The aggression and not just his stats, because Josh Giddey is a guy that's going to get you, a bunch of numbers. He's going to fill the stat sheet. But I think the Bulls are really benefiting from the aggression that he's playing with on the offensive end, the amount of threes he's getting up, some of the confident type of shots pulling up in transition from three. I think he's shooting 40% from three right now on all type of catch and look shots, off the dribble, in transition, pull up. That's not the typical Josh Giddey we know. And then I also believe that the league will catch up to some things, right? And they'll start to eliminate certain things. Like right now, the Bulls cannot guard the paint. If you go against the Bulls, you're going to be able to score at will almost in the interior and in the paint. And Nikola Vucevic has not been known as a guy that can control the paint from a defensive standpoint. And again, I think that leads to a lot of those more easier looks from behind the arc. And again, if they're not limiting the teams like they were at the beginning of the year from behind the arc, it's only going to be a tall mountain for the Bulls to climb. And they're also a team that I could see trying to make some trades near the deadline. You know what I mean? Depending on the direction its team goes. If you give Vucevic in a situation where you can sell high and it makes sense for your team and the future of it, I don't think the Chicago Bulls would be foolish to explore those routes. So those are my buying, holding and selling teams for the Eastern Conference. When we return for break, we'll do the same for the Western Conference. Back with our buy, hold, sell, this time for the Western Conference. These are surprise teams that caught our eye. Remember that. I want to remind y'all that we started off with the San Antonio Spurs, fire hot start. Victor Wembanyama playing at the MVP level. I love everything about this team. I'm going to let y'all know right now, I'm buying. Specifically because I keep reminding people that it's one thing to have a successful regular season, but I'm also looking at some of these teams and I'm trying to project them for the postseason. And when I project and think about the San Antonio Spurs, specifically what they're doing defensively, it's going to be very hard to game plan for this team. Number one, you're talking about an alien and Victor Wembanyama. This is a guy that can get 8, 9 blocks in a single game. He'll block your shot, get the rebound, bring the ball up the floor, and then hit a step back three over your 7'1" center and make him look like a 6'2" guard. All in one play, one possession. This is all happening. So when you have to game plan for that, that gives you a whole set of things that you have to worry about. But then defensively, when you think about Stephon Castle and how he's guarding on a perimeter defense, you think about Victor Wembanyama behind him and how he's making everybody second guess themselves. You know what I mean? Teams shoot almost 46% from the field on 2-point shots against the San Antonio Spurs. They're out rebounding everybody that they play. They shoot 60% on twos. Opponents shoot 47%. You're not going to win the rebound battle. You're going to have a one and done chance. There's not many second chance opportunities for opponents. They're getting out in a fast break. And by the way, did I mention that they've had this surprising start, this fire hot start, without all-star caliber point guard De'Aaron Fox? So some of the things that you look into when you watch this team, or if you're looking at it from a numbers perspective, that they are flawed in, you would expect the return in the play of De'Aaron Fox to kind of fix those little things that they are struggling with. Pick and roll play will go up with De'Aaron Fox. Some of the turnover issues that we see the Spurs have because Stephon Castle is turning the ball over a bunch to start the season. De'Aaron Fox comes, he takes the ball out of his hands. You fix some of those turnover issues. Victor Wembanyama should be getting some easier looks playing off of De'Aaron Fox. The pull-up shooting that the Spurs have struggled with as a team, that goes up because of De'Aaron Fox. Paint touches, which allows defenses to collapse and creates more easier looks for guys like Devin Vassell, who just can't miss from three right now. They have been able to do all of these things without a De'Aaron Fox. So we add him to this, and it just continues to tread up. And again, defensively, they have found out how to just eliminate teams completely. They're one of the only teams in the NBA that are allowing less than 110 points per game. And I don't think that that's going to slow down at any level. And again, Vic is playing at the MVP level. So I am extremely buying the San Antonio Spurs. The Los Angeles Lakers, a team that is streaking. They've been super impressive. Luka has been phenomenal. Austin Reeves was phenomenal without Luka. The other night they played against the Portland Trailblazers on a back-to-back, a game that I felt the Lakers would possibly or potentially lose, if I'm just being completely honest. The Portland Trailblazers are a tough matchup on a back-to-back because of how aggressive they are offensively. And not only that, they sat Luka and Austin Reeves. And I felt like this win for the Lakers could be one of those wins that just continues to fill the locker room and the roster with confidence. You got really good minutes from Bronny in this game, playmaking and doing a bunch of positive things for this team. Jake LaRavia looks like his confidence is continuing to rise with this group of guys. Marcus Smart is being exactly what they thought they were getting when they went out and got him, and when Luka said he wanted him on his team. DeAndre Ayton looked phenomenal, looked his best in his revenge game against his former Portland Trailblazers. And then they got Nick Smith Jr., a guy who was one of the top players in the nation coming out of high school and didn't necessarily have the start he wanted to his career out there in Charlotte. The Lakers are able to pick him up, and he's able to go out there and have a career game and take advantage of the opportunity presented to him with Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic sitting out. I am going to hold after saying all those positive things for one thing and one thing only. As long as this team has LeBron James, we need to see them all together. Luka, LeBron, Reeves, all on the floor together, playing together. And until I see that, I have to hold. We've seen some things from Austin Reeves that kind of came and went last year playing next to Luka and LeBron. And I do think in theory and on paper, he is a perfect, a gap piece or bridge player between those two guys. And I think he can play off of them really, really well. But again, especially in the playoffs, things kind of got tough. And that's why Austin Reeves and, his extension and how much money he'll make has all been in question. And so until I see that trio on the floor playing the same way and everybody, playing off of LeBron and how to integrate him, I'm not going to buy just yet. I am proud of the Lakers and their start. I think they deserve credit. I think JJ Redick has done a really good job. But I do think you have to see what this team looks like with a healthy trio of LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves. And once we get that, and if they're able to keep the same level of play, I would easily be a guy that's buying into the Los Angeles Lakers. They need to cut down the turnovers just a little bit for my liking. Next, my Portland Trailblazers. Yes, I said my Portland Trailblazers. I said this on Twitter, and we had a bunch of people that's like, my. Yeah, I told y'all before the season on Numbers on the Board, I'm inheriting two teams. The Dallas Mavericks. I don't know what made me say that. And the other team was the Portland Trailblazers. So them and my Knicks is who I'm showing my love to this year. And Heat Nation is also kind of taking me under their wing just a little bit. But I've loved everything with this Portland Trailblazers team. Defensively, like I talked about against the Lakers and anticipating them winning that game, they turn you over a bunch. I believe they're averaging anywhere from 12 to 13 turnovers a game for their opponents. To have Donovan Clingan, Drew Holiday, Tomani Kamara, to have those three guys really pushing this defense forward. And when he's healthy, you have Matisse Thybulle, Shaedon Sharpe looks locked in. Jeremy Grant is coming off the bench, giving you a scoring punch. I just love the energy of this team. I'm not here to project that they're going to go to the playoffs and do anything astronomical, but it feels like this is a team full of players that all have a point to prove. Even their head coach, top to bottom, there's a chip on everybody's shoulder, right? Tiago Splitter is trying to show that he is a head coach in his league. This is an opportunity with all of the stuff going on with head coach Chauncey Billups. He gets to step into this role, and they're starting off really good. It's taking notice. A lot of people are giving him a lot of credit. You also have Shaedon Sharpe trying to prove that he was worth the extension that he got. Drew Holiday kind of feels like he was, misplaced after his Boston Celtics tenure. A lot of people kind of thought about him the wrong way. He's showing he's still able to score the ball and be multifaceted. You have Tomani Kamara or Kamara, who just got paid. He's trying to show that. Jeremy Grant value around the league has been lost. There is a point to be proven with everybody on the floor. And they have so much depth, so much versatility. They get all of these fast break looks because of the tenacity they play on defense. Denny Avia is playing at a most improved player type level. We were asking today, is he, a guy that could be a first-time All-Star? That shows just how much he's progressed as a basketball player. And I just love the swag right now. They're a team that I think is interesting because you have Damian Lillard recovering from his Achilles. There's no telling what this team could potentially look like when they get Dame back, depending on the level of play that he plays at. And it's almost at the point where you forget they still have young guard Scoot Henderson as well. So things are looking really good for Portland, and they are a team that I am going to buy in. I'm going to buy on the Portland Trailblazers. I could see them being a play-in team that is out there spoiling some people's playoff hopes. And I wouldn't be surprised if they found themselves in the playoff picture, even at the end of the season. And then last but not least, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Unfortunate news for them when the Anthony Edwards injury came about. I feel like they've been kind of holding it down as best as they could without him. And that's been a surprise to me. I thought they would probably go on a little skid. But the play of Julius Randle has helped propel them into a situation where they're able to stay afloat. Now, with them staying afloat, with them winning some games and some guys stepping up, I am overall going to sell the Timberwolves. And a couple of reasons why is, number one, they just went to back-to-back conference finals. So the bar is at a level that I think is super high. Rob Dillingham has not shown us that step in the right direction this sophomore season. Terrence Shannon hasn't replaced Nickeil Alexander-Walker like I was anticipating. You really are starting to see the age in Mike Conley and even in Rudy. Like, Rudy is now kind of game for game. One game, he looks like the typical Rudy that we've come accustomed to seeing. The next game, Rudy looks like a older version of himself, and I just don't know if they have any avenues to really improve. So for that reason, I'm going to sell the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's my buy, hold, sell for the Western Conference. We'll be back after this break. Now we want to take a time out to show some love to our sponsor, DraftKings. Y'all know about it. We got Pick6. It's real simple. You pick 2 or more players, and you find some statistical categories that you feel safe on, and you take more or less. Very, very simple. More or less. Points, rebounds, assists, more or less. It's so simple. Somebody like me can do it. Last week, I gave y'all a free 4-pick set, and they all hit. It was all points. We had Julius Randle, we had Zach LaVine, Kevin Durant, and Paolo Banchero. And I saw some of y'all put a play together with all 4 of them, and they all hit. And I love that for y'all. Hopefully, I can keep this thing going, because if you don't know, on numbers on the board, I'm also shooting 100% over there. I'm outdoing everybody right now, and I'm not going to look back. We're going to continue to build 82 game season long, 100% on my picks all day long. And I'm always only doing more, no less on my side. I'm only more. So again, tonight we have more picks for y'all. It's a primetime night. We got Luka Doncic facing off of Victor Wembanyama. So I got both of them. We taking more on Luka's points. I feel like right now, the way that Luka has started the season, the points is almost like a free gimme. You're going to get more on the points. Unless they start putting it at 50 points per game, Luka is pretty safe here at hitting them more. So we're taking Luka all day long. His counterpart, Wemby. Wemby is a guy that shows up for these big time national televised games. He didn't have a really great outing against the Suns, their first loss of the season. I think he had like 9 points in total. That was not the day to take the more there. So I think he's going to bounce back, have a really strong performance and responding game. And so we're not just going to take his points. We're going to do points, rebound, and assists for Wemby, and we're going to do the more there. I think the rest of the way is points, rebound, assists, because we also going out to Detroit. Shout out to my guy, Cade Cunningham, one of my favorites in the league. We're going to be doing more on his points, rebound, and assists as well. If you watch the Detroit Pistons, everything with their team starts and ends with Cade. Cade is pushing the pace. Cade is getting pick and roll looks with Jalen Duren. He's scoring. He's rebounding to start the transition offense a little bit faster. So I think this is one of the safer ones as well. Points, rebound, assists, Cade Cunningham. And then last but not least, my guy out there in Sacramento. Similar situation here. Like we said with Cade, kind of the hub out there in Sacramento. He's always been a monster on the boards. He's really a load to work with on the block. And he does such a good job finding his teammates off of dribble handoffs and everything. And that's Domantas Sabonis. We're going to take his points, rebound, and assists, and we're going to hit the more for there as well. Because, again, this is a dude that could give you between 20 and 22 points. He can give you 15 rebounds on any given night. And when you talk about the hot start from Zach LaVine, you talk about Dennis Schroeder's ability to slash and knock down some perimeter shots, DeMar DeRozan with his mid-range game, Russell Westbrook on the outlets, Domantas Sabonis might flirt with a triple-double. We might get like a 20, 15, 12 type game from him. And if we get that, then we'll clear the more with a lot of ease. Those are my picks. When I look at the picks and review, I'm going to say the Luka one is probably my most favorite or most comfortable pick. I just want to kind of give y'all some insight. Again, Luka has been on a tear. There's nobody in the NBA right now that can really slow him down, no matter who they're playing, no matter the circumstance. He's been able to just give us 40 points, no doubt. After Luka, I'm going to go Wemby. I think Wemby's points, rebound, and assists at the more could also be like my top option here, because when you got a guy like Wemby who came out the gates trying to terrorize the NBA and clearly send a message that he and the Spurs have arrived, I don't think he feels good about that last performance against the Suns. Not only should the Suns not beat them, but I don't think there's any circumstance where Wemby shouldn't have 20 or more points. His worst game should be a 19, 18-point performance, not a 9-point game. So I definitely think he's going to want to respond and come out strong. And then after that, I'll go Cade, because the Pistons have been playing some really good basketball. And then, unfortunately, last but not least, I feel the least confident as a bonus pick, just because the Kings are one of those teams that can get blown out, and then that's it. For those of you who haven't checked out DraftKings Pick6 yet, there's an exclusive offer waiting for you. Right now, new DraftKings customers can play 5 and get $50 in bonus picks. All you have to do is download the Pick6 app and use promo code ENJOY when you sign up. Pick6 is available in most states, including Texas, California, and Missouri. So don't be afraid to get in on action. Ride the upside with Pick6. Now joining us on the Tee It Up, we have sharpshooter out of Washington, a guy that some people say has some of the best hair in the NBA as well. Corey Kispert. Corey, how you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure.
I appreciate you taking time to chop it up with me, especially after last night. I don't know if you know, I'm a big Knicks fan, so
Okay.
I apologize for my team having to do that, even though you did light us up a bit there, which
Yeah,
had me a little nervous.
I tend to play well in the Garden, man. It's water under the bridge. It's all good.
You and Landry Shamet, y'all had a little moment there. What was that about? Did he sell that a bit?
Yeah. He hit the floor and he winked at me. I don't know what that was all about.
Oh, so he did wink. Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love Landry like a brother, but he didn't have to do me like that. That was tough. It was tough. I guess all is fair during the game, but the wink kind of stuck a dagger in my heart. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I feel you. I want to kick things off with your basketball origin.
Sure.
I got familiar with the name Corey Kispert by the time you were at Gonzaga. I like to pride myself on being on things early. So because of that, I feel like your background and some of those things have kind of gone under the radar. We don't know too much about Corey Kispert.
Mhm.
So who put basketball in your hands? And how did you get into the game of basketball?
Yeah, it's a good question. Who put a basketball in my hands? It was my dad. Pops played Division II basketball in Seattle, and kind of worked at his alma mater. I would go to the games at the school he worked at, and fell in love with the game early. But as the seasons changed, my love for different sports changed. So, like in the fall, I was a football guy through and through, and in the winter, I was basketball. In the spring, I was baseball, and then like I would just kind of pick up different sports as the seasons went along, and I could kind of do it all. But I didn't really like narrow in and focus on basketball until probably halfway through high school. I think I'm a lot different than a lot of guys that are coming out now who have only played basketball their whole life, and then you give them a football or a baseball and you ask them to throw it, and it looks really nasty.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to that. But obviously was getting attention and college attention, I should say, out of high school, and it was time to focus. So junior year of high school, I stripped it all back, played basketball only. And then ended up going across the state to Spokane to play for Mark Few.
What was the progression like for you as a basketball player during those high school years where you finally decided to commit? Was there like a growth spurt? Was your game, was there a particular summer where you honed in on basketball, or was it just like a gradual thing that looked like?
No, it was honestly like, I mean, I remember having a conversation with my dad. I started to get interest from my first college offer as a freshman from the University of Washington. So like that kind of took us all by surprise. I was like, really? Like I'm good enough for that, to be honest. And then as more college interest started coming in and I was playing, AAU and summer circuit stuff, it got to a point where I played quarterback on the football field. And after my sophomore year, my dad pulled me aside and he was like, look, like you're getting the most attention for basketball here. Like, do you really want to be dropping back in the pocket and having 250, 300-pound dudes diving at your knees? Like, this is a serious conversation we need to have. And like, he wasn't forceful. He didn't push me a certain way. But like when I committed myself to playing basketball and wanting to do that in college as a way to like get into college, it was kind of a decision that we had to make. Like, this is what we're doing now. And lucky, blessed to have parents that didn't force their dreams and visions onto me. I could kind of develop it on my own. And that's where, I have always had a love for the game of basketball because I've done so many other things that I had the freedom to choose basketball when it came down to it. And I'm really lucky for that because that like love still lives and still burns, that's what, like 10 years, 12 years from now?
Exactly.
Or 12 years. So yeah, lucky.
So you played quarterback, sharpshooter in basketball. I'm guessing you could always shoot the basketball. Now in baseball, if I'm aligning things, I'm just trying to make because you sounded like the perfect athlete. Were you a center fielder or a shortstop or pitcher or
Center
all
field.
three?
Yeah,
Center
center
field.
field. Good call. Yeah, center field. I had range in the outfield. Really big arm. And then once kids started, baseball ended a little bit earlier than football did. Once kids started growing armpit hair and throwing curveballs, I was done.
I was the same way. I played center field when I played growing up. I had a cannon. I could not hit the ball for shit. Like
Really.
I could not hit it at all. I don't know why, but yeah, my hand-eye coordination just never could put things together. So you're taking off in basketball. This is where I start to
Hmm.
discover some things when I dove in. Back-to-back state championships and the
Hmm.
MVP of the state championship tournament.
Hmm.
And you were surprised that you got an offer from Washington. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Well,
Like the
yeah.
progression.
Yeah. I mean, like that. I mean, I won the two state titles my sophomore and junior year. So I guess like moving out of like middle school and into high school and getting a college offer, I was like, what's happening? What in the world is this? Like, how do I deal with that as a 14-year-old?
Yeah.
But as like sophomore, junior year, especially junior year, like that's when I dove in and like really took it serious, and got a lot better. Um, but yeah, I mean, like after that first one from Washington, then a few more others came in. We started getting regional down to California, Arizona, and then as a junior and senior year came along, I was getting offers from across the country. So it was a slow progression to get to that point, but yeah, definitely out of the gate, like it took me by surprise. Getting an offer from a school that big and in a conference that big at 14, it was a lot.
What was the overall recruitment process like, and how did you decide to go with the Zags? This is always my
Yeah,
most interested information to learn. By the way, I'm
of course.
obsessed with hearing this part.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, went to college before they were allowed to pay you to go to college.
Right.
So
Right.
like they kind of had to be more creative, right?
Yeah.
With like how they recruited you and the things that you were find interesting and wanting to like make you want to go to school. I took two officials to Virginia and to Notre Dame before I took my official at Gonzaga, and those were great. I had an awesome time, but like from the moment I like landed in Spokane, it felt different. It felt different because of the guys. Like I was a recruit, and they immediately welcomed me with open arms. There wasn't like a you can kind of tell that sometimes players are not excited to host recruits,
Mm.
taking time out of their day and their weekends or whatever. I felt welcome from the jump. I was close enough to home where parents and family could watch me play, but I wasn't going home for dinner every weekend. Um, that mix was good. And then I wasn't compromising anything basketball wise, like a top 10 team in the country every year, makes the tournament every year. That was exciting to me. And then Coach Few told me the truth. He didn't like blow smoke up my ass. He didn't lie to me to make me feel good. He told me exactly what his plan was for me and that it might take 2, 3, 4 years to round that into form. And but he ultimately like told me how much he believed in me and how much he believed that I could succeed there eventually. And to get that honest feedback from him, both positive and negative, showed me that like this is going to be a coach who tells me the truth no matter what. And that's something that I needed to hear at that point. Um, it felt real, it felt honest, and it felt something that I could, invest in long term.
How long did it take you into your college career to figure out that you were an NBA player, or did you already know that going into Gonzaga?
No, it took me 2 years. I played two college careers. I was a bum for 2 years, and then I was really good for 2 years. That's it. And it took me a really long time to figure out. And that promise that Coach Few made, like, didn't always like stick with. I didn't always see it. I didn't always see
Okay.
it working. But every now and again, he pulled me aside. And he's like, "I still believe in you. I still I'm hard on you because I believe in you so much, and you can be so much better." But yeah, I had a really rough first 2 years, and then my third year, everything just like clicked, and you see, all the pros that have come through Gonzaga. Once you kind of get Coach Few's trust, and he gives you the keys to his system, you can flourish and you can become a really, really good college player and an awesome pro. So everything clicked after 2 years, and I was able to like make crazy jumps to get to the point where I could be a first round pick.
So yeah, you go to Gonzaga. all 4 years. Y'all win 30 or more games, and it feels like every single year y'all got closer and closer to that championship.
Mhm.
And then 15th overall pick in what
Yep.
2021, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
Talk to me about that. Here it is. You won two back-to-back state championships, MVP of the state's tournament, state championship tournament. You go to a program that is prestigious in their conference and is going to make the tournament. You are winning with ease, and then you go to a Washington Wizards organization that has transitioned into more of a rebuild look, and it's
Mhm.
not the same level of success. What is that transition like into the NBA? Because I hear a lot of guys talk about being so accustomed to like winning all the time and the like whirlwind of being thrown into a situation where, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, that was something that I was told to prepare for right away. I lost as many games in my college career as the second, like the Bulls, like the 96 Bulls, like they lost in a year. So
Mm,
like the best team, one of the best teams ever, lost as many games in a year as I did in 4 years. And
yeah.
like so, like you're going to lose, and that's going to happen when you play so many games. And I was told to prepare for that, but it didn't really hit me until it actually started happening. Um, I had a harder time like moving on from losses because when you lost in college, felt like the sky was falling, and we got to like batten down the hatches and fix it now. And in the NBA, you just got to move on to the next one. That ability to wash whatever you did in the game before and move on to the next one was something that I wasn't able to learn for a long time until I got that experience. It was really hard. And then playing for, I mean, that those teams, my first couple of years, were not quite the rebuilding Wizards that you see today.
Yeah.
They were trying to make the playoffs and trying to make it work and make a push. And Spencer Dinwiddie, Brad Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, Kuz, like those kind of players were trying. We were trying to build a playoff roster, so we were trying to push and trying to go, and it wasn't working. And then we had to strip it all away. And now you see the rebuilding process that we're in the middle of. So um, definitely a reality check for me, and definitely a gut check for me too over the last, you know, 3 or 4 and 7 game career that I've been a part of so far.
More from my interview with Corey Kispert after this break. Welcome back to Tee It Up. Let's get back to the interview. Who would you say when you first came to the league? You mentioned Dinwiddie, Beal, Porzingis,
Mm-hmm.
Kuz. Who was your vet?
My vets, I had two, Montrezl Harrell and KCP.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
big difference
what,
between the
what
two
was
of them.
that like having them as vets?
Yeah, I mean, Trez is a wild card. At the core, like, I mean, he on the outside he put up a really tough wall. Tough guy. Like that was what his game was about. And he wanted to show that early to a rookie, especially. But I was a good rookie. I took care of my business. I did my job, and about a couple months in, he definitely softened up and was a really really good vet for me. Taught me a lot. Took care of me, that sort of thing. KCP was more like quiet and steady. He and I have similar games, and so he was able to kind of teach me more on the court and help me be a pro. KCP was one of the guys that really helped me get out of my own head, quit thinking so much, move on to the next game. I learned a lot of stuff from him, and both guys were really beneficial for me in very different ways.
How have you kind of transitioned from being that young player to now being a vet yourself? I mean, you're only 26 years old, but the NBA moves so fast, and you look up, and yeah, a guy like Corey Kispert, who we don't deem as an old player or anything like that, but you are when you look at the age
Roster.
of the
Yeah.
roster, you are legitimately a vet. What were some of the things you were able to pick up and do with some of these young guys that you have on your team now?
Yeah, it's being like outspoken mostly. My when you step into the league and you are a young player, at least the way that I went about it, I wanted to learn and shut up and learn as much as possible. So ask questions, do the right thing, fall in line, be a sponge and learn and try to like implement those things right away. But then all of a sudden, like in a snap of a finger, I'm the one that needs to be teaching those things and not learning those things. So like being able to get comfortable immediately about speaking up in team meetings, speaking up during film sessions, pulling guys, you know, pulling guys aside on the bench or on the sideline during practice. Like those things I had to make and I had to turn and pivot my mindset right away. I'm not really an outspoken guy to begin with,
Okay.
or like kind of like a rah-rah guy, like charismatic leader, but I had to make that change pretty quick. I'm still learning how to do it, and I have to learn fast, obviously, because of the roster that we have and the amount of youth that we have in our organization.
Was that a self-assessment, or were you pulled by a coach or somebody in the organization that set you down and got you ready to be a vet?
Yeah, it was both a self-assessment and then BK definitely made that a point for me, especially last year. He made it clear how much he trusted me and how much he trusted my opinion, and my professionalism and all of that. And he encouraged me from the jump to speak up because people listen. And it took me a while to realize that, but now I feel really comfortable in that role, and being a sounding board for younger guys. Sometimes they go through things in their first season that they don't get or they don't understand. And I've kind of seen it all. I've been a part of a bunch of teams here and understand how things work. So to be that sounding board and to be that kind of vet that has their back is something that I've grown into and started to really enjoy.
What have you seen from these young guys? We are very big fans of the movement that you guys have going. Obviously, we like to consider ourselves ball knowers, so we don't necessarily look at the wins and the losses, but it's more about the progression of a team that's obviously in the middle of a rebuild. And you guys have done a good job accumulating some really good talent. Again, you got a bunch of good talent. I don't want to, not mention anybody, but we are big believers of Keyshawn George as like one of our favorites. Again, bunch of young talent on that team, but along with Keyshawn and some of the other guys, what are the impressions that they've made already in this early year of 2025, 2026?
Yeah, I mean, you can add me to that list of the big fans of Keyshawn George. You could to talk about him specifically for a second. Like you could see that in him right away. He is also somebody like me who shut up and wanted to learn, and you could see him processing. And sometimes you could see him processing kind of slowly in the middle of the game, and he would make mistakes. But those ones are the ones that you live with. If they're trying to do the right thing and try to make the right play, and they make a mistake as a rookie or a second-year guy. Those are the ones that you let slide. But all of a sudden it's his second year and he's not really making those mistakes anymore. He's playing with a ton of confidence, playing with great pace. He's seeing the floor really well. His size helps. His frame helps. He can really shoot it. Like that guy is going to be good for a long time because he has the mentality to continually get better. As far as the rest of our roster goes, like unbelievable levels of talent, physicality, athleticism across the board. It's up to them to develop, and it's up to them to continue to get better and see how they fit within their organization long term. But we definitely have a lot to be excited about over the next 3 to 5 years here. And however long I can be a part of it, I'm going to do what I can to help those guys learn how to win and learn how to build good habits and hopefully be someone that they look back on when their career is where mine is now and can think of as like a really good vet that helped them out a ton.
So I heard you just say if or how long you can be here. So that means you kind of answer one of my questions. You are aware of, I guess, the fanfare that you have. Like every time a team or fan of a team watches our show or reaches out and they're talking about a missing piece or the type of player that they could get that could help elevate their team, you are one of the top names that comes up. Have you accepted that part of the business, or are you still kind of knowing in the back of your mind? And I don't want to put anything in the air because obviously I haven't heard anything, and as of right now, you are a Washington Wizard. They gave you the extension, whatever. But I always find it funny, like a lot of people think it's like the Kevin Durant's of the world that everybody is looking for a one, but you're one of those names that a lot of fan bases are eyeing and fantasizing about having on their team.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you're aware of all that, and like, I've been around this business long enough, and a lot of players have come in and out of our doors over the last 4 years to know that that's a reality. And there's a unique balance of doing what you can to get better yourself and doing what you can to help or help the organization where you are. And you want to do right by the place that you're at, because that's only going to help you no matter what happens. And of course, I'm aware of what's going on. Of course, I'm aware of the talks and the rumors and the whatever and the this and the that. But like, I need to control what I can control right now to help myself succeed wherever I'm at in the future. And if that's here, that's awesome. If that's somewhere else, that's also awesome. Like, I need to be able to play my best basketball and fit the role that I'm in, because I am not going to be somebody that, if I were to play on a championship team right now today, I'm not going to be someone that handles the ball in every pick and roll and making decisions with the ball in his hands all the time. I'm fully aware of that too. So I'm trying to do the best that I can to get better right now, and to continue to get better as the season goes along, for whatever happens. And I'm really excited about the pace that I'm on right now and how I'm playing so far. I feel awesome, and I'm looking forward to helping this team, whether it's being a vet and teaching or producing in any way that I can.
Well, Corey, I appreciate your time, man. That was a lot of good stuff. We definitely got to bring you back on in the future for more conversations. I want to kind of pick your brain as far as shooting. We got a lot of young viewers who are playing the game, so we definitely got to bring you back and get them some gems. I'm wishing you and the Washington Wizards nothing but health and a successful season with a lot of player progression, so that y'all can get back in the playoffs relatively soon. Corey, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your time, and I'm happy to come back whenever you need me.
Welcome into the show, producer Christian. Y'all know the usual. We got to wrap up with my guy, Christian. Corey was probably one of my favorite guests. He is also one of the first guests we've had with the time situation that we're dealing with after the move, which is a good situation to deal with, by the way, people. But those conversations could last 2 hours. He was a guy that I definitely, got to bring back, because there's so much more to get to with him. What were some of the things that kind of stood out to you with the conversation?
He's awesome. Seems like it's crazy with a guy like that he's a vet now, like you just said, because he was just at Gonzaga. But
Yes.
super professional, and the way that he can play off ball, and being a high character guy, that's a perfect guy to have on a rebuilding team. And like you said, he's a guy that a lot of teams would be happy to have. So wouldn't be shocked to see him somewhere else later this season.
Couple of things that I love, and this is why conversations more than interviews are important, because you can learn so much. Number one, sharpshooters in the NBA, and I didn't even really get to dive into the sharpshooting with him. These guys are different, man. I knew when he said he played another sport, it was going to be quarterback. And I had a feeling he was going to be a shortstop, center fielder, or pitcher. It's almost like there's no surprise, right, when you see Steph Curry golfing and hitting crazy golf shots, right? It's kind of like, wow, but that's like, it's Steph Curry. I'm kind of not surprised. These shooters, it's something different in their blood, brother. Like, I'm so like enamored with how great that they're able to be in so many different things. I also love the conversation we got to have about Keyshawn George. How did you feel about hearing some of those details? They made a lot of sense to me, knowing how great of a player he's looking to be, and then to hear what type of rookie he is. It felt almost like no question.
Right. I mean, I was not surprised about just the processing, like how quickly, like, of course there were mistakes to make, and he had to learn through that as a rookie. But like year two, obviously got a little bit stronger and stuff like that. But like, you can just tell the processing. That's what stood out to me in Miami, was his processing. So for him to quickly be so high level at it at the NBA level, and be a 6'7", I guess that's how he might be 6'8", but like, he's a point guard, and he's a knockdown 3-point shooter, and he's a good defender. It's like, he was made in the lab. He's a perfect prospect. He went 24th, dude. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to victory lap. I know it's hard to scout.
Victory lap.
All this,
go crazy.
I saw all this stuff when he was at Miami.
Yeah, man. It's just an interesting thing, because like you said, he's a vet. Corey Kispert is a vet. I love the story about Mark Few as well. I think coaching and confidence and all of that is such a big thing. And I wanted to ask Corey, was there any point during the Gonzaga ride where he wanted to get up out of there? And if he felt like if he played in today's time where you can instantly transfer, would he have chucked the deuce, or would he have stayed it out with Mark Few? Because I love the transparency and honesty. He said the first 2 years, and you look at the teams he played with, it was easy to get lost.
And Gonzaga's a great program. And like that's why Mark Few's the type of coach that can keep a guy like that who has NBA potential and isn't, you know what I'm saying, it's not clicking right away. Like some guys are just impatient. Like that's what's great about Gonzaga. And also, I forgot because it was the COVID year. His last 2 years, like when he was a really good player at Gonzaga, they lost 2 games the COVID year. They would have been the number 1 overall seed, and they were 31-0 until they played that ridiculous Baylor team. Like he was so good. He had a game where he had 32 and drilled 9 threes against a Virginia team that like was bringing Trey Murphy off the bench. And I remember that game. I'm like, Gonzaga is like ridiculous this year. That was the undefeated year.
Another great episode. Shout out to Corey Kispert. Shout out to producer Christian. They said Max B coming home. I'm also the best dressed podcaster. We'll see y'all next week. We out. Peace.